Joe Orth and I are starting a podcast. What should we call it?
Hey, don't pick on me. You know why? Because this is why. Let's see what he says.
The Joe Show?
Give Joe the business?
That's right.
Cup of Joe.
Cup of Joe.
What is happening here?
Would you listen?
We'll give you a chance.
Thank you. That's Joe.
That's Rooster.
And this is the Together We Shall podcast, episode 4. What's happening, man?
Another day, man. Another day. Just got back from a kid's birthday party in which it rained on. And, so that's like, if it's going to suck so bad, it's going to be awesome. And if it ain't raining, we ain't training. It was like a mad dash of moving cupcakes and pizza and everything into a barn because it was at a petting zoo. So like it was horses trying to eat cupcakes. It was fun. It was yeah. So that's what's going on now. Calming down finally from this morning. You?
I don't think I can top horses eating cupcakes, man. I mean, I'm just like, what a visual. I had something not even closely related to the chaos of that. Last week I ordered I moved 150 40-pound boxes for our Ainsley's Angels Freedom push chairs from one storage unit to another, which wasn't too far, but the problem was that my help, Justin Saminich, his son got sick, and so he couldn't come help me. So yeah, alone and afraid, I literally moved off 150 of those 40-pound boxes. And, when I was done, I was kind of proud. I was like, yeah, man, I still got it. I did it. This morning, Lori and I went on a walk, and I could feel the soreness in my hips. And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what I did yesterday. She goes, not what you did yesterday. It's what you did earlier this week, 150 40-pound boxes. Anyway, the bright side of it all is it saves Ainsley's Angels about $142 a month for the next year. So thank you. You're welcome.
When we put them in that storage unit they're in now, like that was enough of an adventure with like 5 or 6 of us, highways and such things that happened. I couldn't, even if it was just like the unit directly across the like highway or parking lot of the storage unit, that would still suck, let alone like, so you get what, 6 in the truck at a time?
Well, most people would get 6 at a time. We were Sanford and Son style, baby. I had like 10 to 12 per each roll. So, I mean, it ultimately was about 10 to 15 different movements down. But anyway, that's what I've been up to, man. And it was fabulous. It was really good, is what I kept telling myself. It's all about the positive perspective, that lens we choose to look at life through. Too early?
I guess, yeah, right. Lighthearted.
Yeah, lighthearted.
Fun. I mean, yeah, that's good. Saving money is always a bonus for a nonprofit. So,
speaking of nonprofit saving money, we finished our audit. That's pretty exciting. The earlier previous episodes, we told the story about the fireplace, which really wasn't a fireplace, it was TV, and it's keeping us warm back in November. Well, those same guys, Andy and Marshall and the whole team over there, they wrapped it up. So our 2021 audit is complete, and now I can focus my attention on next weekend, which I'll see you next weekend.
You will, but I think that's like, what's next? So if we went there now, it would be weird. Just remind people now, because not everyone's going to listen all the way through, that there's less than 50 spots available for the Run With Your Heart race, March 5th, Saturday, Jacksonville, North Carolina. You can register on maybe the link below. Hopefully we do put a link below now that I said that. If not, you can go to our website and register. So yeah, there's less than 50 spots as we're saying this, and we're recording this 2 days before, this is going to be released. So let's say there's less than 30 spots now.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. 400 spots to start with, and here we are a week out and nearly sold out. So I'm excited about next Saturday morning being there for the Run With Your Heart race in downtown Jacksonville, North Carolina, where I'll see you there. But that is what's next. So let's come back to where we are now. Introducing the guest is as simple as saying, the number one thing I identify as in life is a husband. And I'm a husband, to Lori. Lori, welcome to the Together We Shall podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
The applause red light goes off.
I mean, you guys had no one else lined up, A. B, you're trying
Not
to
true.
improve.
We have many people
What?
that are knocking on the door to be on the Together We
Joe.
Shall podcast.
Joe Orth, I was just introduced. This is my time to talk. Thank you. So A, no one else lined up. B, trying to improve your ratings. And I don't think I have a C, but no, I'm excited to be here. I love both of you boys so much. We have so much history, so many ups and downs, and so I'm happy that you guys wanted me here. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is great. I'll honestly admit, like right now, I did not think we would get you into the podcast anytime soon. So you surprised me, and Joe as well, with when you turned to me and you were just like, hey, I was thinking if I ever got on the podcast, I think I know exactly what I'd want to talk about. And that's all it took, man. I just needed to hear that there was a chance.
Actually, I think what I said is if you guys are ever super desperate
I didn't
for a
hear-
guest, no, that's what I said, because you have no one, like I would maybe be willing to do it. And I kind of know what I'd want to talk about, which is, my role in this world of Ainsley's Angels and life and special needs and
Yeah.
inclusion, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think
we
that's
gotta
more
talk
how,
about.
yes, I think that's more, it was like, if you guys are desperate, and then it was like, great, you're the next guest.
So yeah, okay. So everybody wins, I guess, right? Joe, as Covey says, win-win. I mean, if she had to say desperate, even if we weren't desperate, in this case, we're desperate because we got her on here and we're so excited because people don't often get a chance to hear the things that are crawling around in Lori's brain, And there are some fabulous things. There's a lot of things, and I want to hear about them, and so do a lot of people. So, what's the best way to jump into this thing? Maybe with just like, I don't know, how'd you meet the co-hosts? There's two of us here. You want to start with me?
Yeah, I met you first.
Yes.
That's weird.
It would be weird if I was like, no, I used to babysit Joe. But no, I didn't babysit Joe. He didn't live in Lake Charles, Louisiana, which is where I was born and raised. I mean, it could be a really long story. I won't make it long. I'll make it short. So I'm not good with dates. That's your thing. Let's say it was 91. I was a sophomore.
It was
in high
90. It
school.
was 90, but it's okay because it was before we rolled past Christmas. So it was like,
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was a sophomore in high school. You were a freshman in high school. And in Lake Charles, Louisiana, there wasn't like a ton of things to do, maybe would be fair to say. And so on the weekends, us teenage kids would go cruising Ryan Street in our cars, just looking for friends to shout out the window to, I guess. And I had a friend in the car with me, and I rolled up to a red light, and then a Chevy Blazer rolled up next to me. And it was a guy I had a crush on, a cute guy in my typing class. I'm not going to say names.
wait, hang on. Did you say typing class?
Yeah, I was in a typing class.
Okay.
And he sat across from me, and man, was he movie star cute. Similar to Joe Orth, some people would say. Movie star, good looks. Look, he's blushing. Anyway, he was a cutie, and he rolled up. And so then I was nervous. And then he rolled his window down. And I thought, here it is. So I rolled mine down. And hey, what are you doing? Let's, let's go down to Shore Drive and get out and chit chat. And I'm like, yes. And then some child reared his head through the back window and like startled me. I was like, oh God, who's that child? And it was you. And then I just heard other guys that were in the vehicle saying, oh my God, roll his window up, make him get inside. She's not going to come meet up with us. And I thought, wow, that's rude. Who is that boy? So anyway, we go and we park and we get out and we're just chit chat. and I'm just, chatting. And then there's this tiny boy standing in the distance, like nervous, like knee shaky, shy, like just, I was like, wow. So it wasn't love at first sight. I'm sorry. For me, it was not love at first sight, but I was intrigued by who is this shy, sweet little boy that they are mean to. And, long story short, just got to see you a few more times. And then I called you up on the phone one day and said, hey, would you like to go out on a date with me? And you were like stuttering, and it was cute.
I believe I said,
you said yes.
Well, at first I was like, yes, but hold on. I got to ask my dad. And I think I hung up the phone or something.
You did. You hung up on me abruptly after saying I have to call and get permission. And it was so cute. I don't know. There was something about you. It was so cute. And so yeah, we planned a first date. You didn't have your license yet. You were 14. I had to drive, and I went to pick you up, and I was in my dad's Chevy Blazer. And
Babe, I think we need to get a Blazer. There's just too much Blazer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
So I passed up the trailer, and you and your sister were standing in the driveway, and I thought, dang it, passed it up. So I went to turn around in the driveway and put the front tire in a ditch. Not like a baby ditch, like a ditch my height, which isn't I'm not super tall, but you get what I'm saying, like a massive ditch.
Yeah, and I totally get it. And just, Joe, you're right. That was on Snapper Lane in the trailer park. You got the visual. Very narrow street, ditches on both sides, halfway filled up always, crawfish crawling around in there, crawfish things, pine cones. Anyway, and she puts the wheel in the tire. Well, Shy Boy was like, oh, I got this.
Yeah, you came running over like Thor. I mean, just running over, pushed it, practically picked it up and lifted it out of the ditch.
But I thought he was a shy little boy a minute ago. He got much bigger and stronger in the next couple of days.
Look, Joe, you and I both thought that until he lifted that Blazer out of the ditch. And I think that was the moment where I was like, wow, okay, I feel safe now.
That was our own little Lois Lane Clark Kent moment. But go ahead.
This would also be where it could be neat to dub over the video of you pushing that vehicle at the Ironman 70.3 in Virginia.
Yes.
That was and it's it doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, saved the day. I was super embarrassed. He was like, whatever, it's not a big deal. People do that all the time. They probably don't, but he made me feel okay about it. And then we went to Taco Bell. That was our first date. I know you guys have talked about Taco Bell. It's a key part in all of our lives. So yeah, we went to Taco Bell. He's staring at me the whole time I was driving. It was kind of weird, made me nervous, but had our first kiss that night under the basketball goal in a driveway. I do remember that. Mm-hmm. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of other little pieces, but pretty much that's it.
That is how you met the co-host of the Together We Shall podcast in 1990. Good stuff. What about the other co-host? You know that guy?
I do know Joe. Oh, and I know that this was mentioned, I think maybe on the first podcast of a softball game and Joe throwing a bat. And Joe,
because I struck out.
No, I want to clear this up, Joe, because I've really been thinking about it. I don't think you struck out. I think that you were up next to bat, and so you were standing in that little circle. What's that called when you're waiting?
On deck circle.
Okay, that. You were standing in that, you were warming up. And I thought, wow, look at this guy. He's athletic. And the guy that was already at bat struck out. And that might have been Rooster. It might have been Rooster. The more I think about it, I think Rooster struck out. So then you couldn't go bat.
Yeah.
And you were so upset, you threw your bat and you had a full-on temper tantrum.
It's again, probably 4 episodes I haven't talked about. Yes, at some point in my athletic career, I have struck out in slow pitch softball. Never looking, because there's that weird foul ball thing, and have been angry. But I also, especially 14 years ago, would have been angry if like someone else essentially messed up and I couldn't try to shine. But now that is not the case, because I play on a terrible softball team. We won 2 games in the last 3 seasons. So it's like funny actually when people strike out, because it's like, man, yes, that's a round of beers. Let's get back to the bar. Don't even care anymore. Speed this up.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify though you were in your prime. I was like, I really don't think he struck out. I think he got upset because Rooster struck out. You had a temper tantrum, and I remember in that moment thinking, wow, he acts just like my 3-year-old son. It's like I can relate to this. It's very similar.
And then later, as I got older and Camden naturally got older, then we started sharing clothes.
You know what?
As a 3-year-old though.
There's so many similarities that I've just recently come to realize. Y'all wore the same clothing brands, and now that he's a 16-year-old boy, you guys, I believe, wear the same size clothing. But look, all jokes aside, these two, Camden and Joe, the most loyal friends you'll ever find in your life. Camden is so loyal to his friends, as is Joe, dependable, trustworthy. I mean, it goes on and on. So, I'm going to tell a quick story. I'm going to insert it here. Is that okay?
You do. You're the guest.
So, Rooster and Joe recently traveled to TLM, as a lot of you may know, the Louisiana Marathon. Camden and I were going to go. Life happened. We decided not to go. I keep saying Rooster, but I don't call you Rooster. But do people know you're Kim?
I mean, it's the Together We Shall podcast, co-hosted by Kim Rossiter and Joe Orth.
Okay, I'm not going to call you Rooster anymore. It makes me feel weird.
Okay.
So Kim and Joe traveling to TLM, linked up in Charlotte? Somewhere. Yeah. Linked up. Flight got delayed 2 hours, so they're stuck sitting in the airport. So I say to Camden, oh, wow, good thing we didn't go, because Dad's stuck in the airport for 2 hours waiting on his flight. And he's like, oh, man, that stinks. And I said, but, he's hanging out with Joe, so at least he's not by himself. And he goes, oh, wait, Joe's there? And I said, yeah, they linked up in Charlotte. So Joe's with them. And he said, well, being with Joe's always a good time, so I wouldn't mind being there. No joke. That was my son's exact words. And in that moment, I was like, you know what? So is Camden. Camden's always a good time. And in fact, Joe spoke at Ainsley's Celebration of Life, and I vividly don't remember much from that day, but I remember Camden running around like a maniac with bubble guns and Joe saying, Camden's always a party. So you know what? You two were meant to be. You two were meant to be. So that was my first impression of Joe. I was like, wow, this is like my son. I'm going to like this guy. And I grew to love him.
I love that, man. That's awesome. How about that, Joe? I mean, maybe that's why we get along so much, man. You're just like a little son of mine.
Little child. That's a little man child. I'm a real boy. Tokyo.
Oh, yeah. Look, movies early. That's good. I love that.
Hey, all jokes aside, thank you for being an incredible role model to my son. And I don't know if you even realized that you were. So thank you, Joe Orth.
Welcome.
Wow. We're already dancing here. Let's dance.
Because tangents, right? So I was thinking about it and I looked it up. New Blazers are hideous, I think, really. So if you get one, you got to go back to 90 probably, give it 88 to 92 range, right? Depending on what year those two were. I didn't even know they were still making it in there. I guess all vehicles. I mean, they're $50K. Why is a Blazer that expensive?
Well, they went away and then they came back. So the Chevy Blazer wasn't available for years. And now it is. And of course, just I think the Ford, was it the Bronco? And there's other, there's other things like that. It's it's all how we do things these days.
Some, I guess, intertwined or whatever. My brother Tom had a Blazer.
All the cool people had Blazers. I'm just saying. My crush had a Blazer. I drove a Blazer.
My
Ragged
first
it out. I ragged that thing out.
my first vehicle was going to be a Blazer. That's a whole nother story. Cameron ditches. Speaking of ditches, my dad put it in the ditch in Cameron Parish, Louisiana, within like a week of the day I thought I was going to get it. So yeah.
Is this turning into a car
I
podcast?
think it almost did. Let's get back on track. You mentioned Camden. That is your Boo Boo Bear, your youngest born.
I
Of
do.
course,
I do call him Boo Boo Bear.
episode 2. I'm sorry, episode 2. Yeah, Briley was here,
Briley.
so we met your oldest. Of course, everybody knows the story of Ainsley, but like they don't know the story of Ainsley when it comes to a lot of things that you can share with us today about daily interactions. But I think it would be cool to maybe start with, you have 3 children. Where'd they get their names?
Yeah, I thought this would be something fun. A fun fact. Can we add this in? Fun fact? What do
Yeah.
y'all call them?
Tangent.
That's a
No,
tangent. Yeah.
this
Thoroughfares.
is a fun fact.
Oh.
Never mind.
She wants a new segment to the whole
Yeah,
podcast.
segment.
Well,
Let's add a
it's-
segment,
Fun
fun
facts
fact.
are also interesting and then can lead and be energetic, and that's interesting, energetic, deep dives, emotional lightheartedness is what our cycle of topics evolves around. So that fun fact is already in there. I think.
Okay.
Fun fact.
And it's really not that fun, but
Oh.
so yeah, so Briley, so Briley Michelle, firstborn, didn't know we were having a girl. Pretty certain we were having a boy, and we were gonna name him Tristan, because Brad Pitt in Legend of the Falls. I don't care if you like Brad Pitt, you don't like Brad Pitt. Oh my God, in that movie, I'm gonna name my kid after him. That's how hot he is in that movie.
It would be really cool if Joe could give us a Legend of the Fall quote off the top of his head right now.
No, I can't.
He was so mesmerized by how hot Brad Pitt was, he doesn't remember any quotes. That's what happened.
I used to always say, river runs through it. Wasn't that
Yeah,
like?
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Missoula,
so-
Montana.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a boy. We didn't have a Tristan. We had a girl. We had our gorgeous Briley, and so Briley's godparents are my brother Brian, and then everyone listening to this should know Tanya, who is my first cousin. We're 2 months apart. We're like sisters, really. What is she in Ainsley's Angels? What's her title? She has a title.
Vice President of Ambassador Program. But like our hopes are that people don't know her, because that means we're reaching whole new audiences.
Okay, well, if
But-
you don't know her, Tanya, whose middle name is Lee, Tanya Lee. She's my BFF, ride or die, first cousin, sister, all that good stuff. So we took the Bri from Brian and Tanya's middle name Lee, because that's who we chose to be Briley's godparents, and we got Briley. That's fun. That's how we got Briley's name. On to Ainsley. You chose Ainsley's name. It's the only name of our 3 kids you chose. We weren't even having another baby yet.
Yeah.
We only had Briley, and you were obsessed. I don't know years and dates, but you were obsessed with the West Wing.
Yeah. The NBC hit show West Wing.
Joe, did you watch that, or were you like 6?
No, I mean I was a high schooler. Like that was not. I could
No.
care less about probably any sitcom or anything other than something silly like The Simpsons or South Park. Like, I
Right.
could care less.
Well, what you should know is that they had an actress on that show.
Emily Proctor
Emily
is the
Proctor.
actress.
Yeah. Emily Proctor. If you're
Yeah.
listening, here's the rest of the story.
So she had a role eventually on West Wing, and on that show, her name was Ainsley Hayes. Ainsley, and she was Kim's type. Do you know what I mean? She was blonde. She was like sassy. She was intelligent. Well, I don't claim to be intelligent, but anyway, you were attracted to.
I loved her character. It
You
was
loved
great.
her character.
So she was also the outlier. Like she was in that show with the purpose of advising the administration on the opposing viewpoints. So it's really cool because I love when somebody has the ability to add objectivity or alternative, critical thinking to the fold.
Yeah.
So everything about like that was cool. But the name, I was so intrigued by it because I had never heard it before,
Mhm.
and I searched and found that it was Beautiful Meadow.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, Lori, if we have another child and it's a girl, I would really like to name her Ainsley.
You did say that. And I wasn't even pregnant again.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, okay. And then I got pregnant. And then we found out it was a girl. And I was like, let's name her Ainsley.
Yep. And then her middle
That's a
name,
beautiful-
obviously, after my sister,
Yes.
episode 3, Christine Seward.
Renee.
Christine.
And Christine is her godmother.
And then
so that's how we got Ainsley's name off of a show. And then Camden was going to be Caden, but you were deployed my entire pregnancy with Camden, and I was feeling lonely and sappy and scared and missing you, and I changed it to Camden and just like shot you an email. Hey, it's going to be this instead, like it or not, buddy.
Yeah, well, I mean, the initials, right? He has my initials, KRR.
We did it Camden with a K because once again, I was sappy, lonely, and I wanted him to have your initials. He has your middle name, Robert. And I just thought you, as a Marine, have all of these great swords and all of this really cool stuff with KRR. And I'm like, that would be amazing to pass down to your son.
Yeah.
And you were born in Camden County, and we used to go, when we were in DC, we'd always go to Camden Yards. In Camden it is, and that's what it was. And Camden Robert. So look, that's not really a fun fact, but now everybody knows how we got our kids' names.
There are probably six people that are like, wow, that was it. Very fun facts.
I feel like that was so much longer than it needed to be.
Maybe Briley would say it was, but it's okay.
But it's a fun fact, and maybe not fun, but a fact, just because I had to Google Emily Proctor, right? Who played Ainsley Hayes. So there was 154 episodes of West Wing, and she was only in 12 of them. So she definitely made an impact. And
yes,
if it wasn't for those 12 episodes.
Mm-hmm. I don't. Yeah, I don't know what Ainsley would have been named if it weren't for those 12 episodes. You're right, Joe.
Dude, we got to get this story to Emily Proctor. Somebody that's listening can help us do that.
She's a
Anyway,
Carolina girl.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I know. She played that.
ECU.
And she played that in the episode. I think in the series, her dad was like a very staunch right wing, conservative, like governor or senator or something in the show, or representative, and she was raised that way. And so that's how she was able to get that perspective, and then bring it to more of a centrist, left leaning, West Wing that was demonstrated in that show. Dude, come on, back on track here. Let's go.
What's next?
Well, really, frankly, now that we've kind of set the stage, we'd love for you to share with everybody, like, who was Ainsley, like, pre-diagnosis? Like, we all know Ainsley was diagnosed with infantile neuroaxonal dystrophy, and the rest of the story is very public. Mm-hmm. But, like...
A dystrophy that slowly took everything from her. Because at birth, she hit all of her milestones.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know about, like, the first, 3 years, right? 2.5 years.
Right. We were in North Carolina, and Kim was in that point in his military career where he was busy. He was getting ready to deploy to Iraq.
Yeah.
And so he was busy, and he was here and there. And had a beautiful baby girl. Wow, she's perfect. Man, she was wild, this girl.
She was.
So Briley, my firstborn, kind of set the stage as a new parent of, this is what all kids are like. She was very much a rule follower. We never needed child locks. You just tell Briley, please don't do this. And she'd say, okay, mommy, like at 12 months old, was speaking literally. And then Ainsley came along just like a little spitfire. So Ainsley was always joyful, always laughing, but always doing stuff she shouldn't have been doing. Mm-hmm. Getting into stuff, making a mess. Not shouldn't be doing, but she wanted to push the envelope. And but then she would just smile at you, and it was like, oh, how can I be upset with this child? She's so happy. And she would crawl it was a fireplace that wasn't like a real fireplace, like an electric one. But we never kept logs in it, and that's where she would climb in there to poop. Hey, another fun fact. Ainsley used to go poop in the fireplace.
Sometimes Siri comes on in the middle of these. Joe, did you hear what she just said about Ainsley, what she used to do?
What Lori said?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fireplace and poop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't laugh, and so I.
Yeah, he did. He made it
Okay.
famous.
Anyway, I'll edit all that out.
So, so Ainsley was just this joyous, like, makes her own rules, wants to do what she wants to do, with a smile, and she loved men. Daddy's girl, 10 million percent, but just loved men in general. Loved men.
Yeah.
It was slightly unnerving how much she loved men, but yeah, that was Ainsley, just this beautiful spirit,
Yeah. I remember
wild
when I
child.
come home from work, and I'd open the garage door. Like as soon as I'd open the door to get into the house, like she's right there.
Yeah, she would hear that. It didn't matter where we were. She'd hear that garage door opening, and she would crawl as fast as she could to that back door and wait for you to open that door. And oh yeah, that was good stuff.
She'd like be on her knees with her feet crossed, but on her knees, and she'd have her hands up in the air, like pick me up.
Yeah, once you got home, she didn't care about me. I was a stay-at-home mom, that I'm who the kids saw the most, and Briley thought, Daddy can't fix my juice. He doesn't know how. Only mommy can do it. Whereas you got home and Ainsley suddenly wanted nothing to do with me. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, that's just kind of who Ainsley was before the dystrophy, sucked the life out of her.
Yeah.
That sounds weird, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do know what you mean. She was extremely unique. Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, it might sound weird, but it paints a picture on how I think you both have said just how ugly of a disease it was. For those that are still learning about Ainsley and Ainsley's Angels, so hearing "suck the life out of her," I think it's proper, if you would.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So that's Ainsley. So throughout her entire life, that's the Ainsley I always saw. You know what I mean? When she could no longer verbally communicate or, crawl around or show expression, I still saw that feisty, fiery little girl who was just ready to, tackle the world and make her own rules.
It's so, I know dates aren't your favorite and Rooster, but like just so some people understand, from you, Lori, right, realized something wasn't right, and Rooster was somewhere, right? He wasn't home in Carolina, right? So from that, we'll call it day or month or however long, when you were like, something's not right with her, to diagnosis was how many years?
She was 15 months and she did everything except walk on her own. So that was my first, something's not right. So 15 months. And then she was
it was 2 years later.
Yeah, 2 years later. So it was 2 years before we got the actual diagnosis. So it was a lot of, family weekend trips to Chapel Hill, that's where her incredible neurologist was. And it was just going there to run more tests and more tests and more tests until they finally figured it out. But yeah, it was a long 2 years because she was, losing skills. So it was obvious that this isn't going to just get better. This is something and we need to figure it out. So yeah, Kim was deployed when I said what's going on. And then when we got the official diagnosis 2 years later, Kim was deployed again. Kim was deployed throughout my entire pregnancy with Camden and trying to figure out what's up with my second born daughter. And, it was rough times, but in that moment, it didn't feel like rough times because the Marines, I know Kim and Joe, you're both Marines. You love to say you adapt, you overcome. And I did that. It's weird. You just do what you have to do. And that's all parents. You do what you have to do to, solve this situation, find a solution. And, all of that was preparing me for the most tragic day of my life many years later when Ainsley died. And once again, Kim was away for work. And I mean, that wasn't ideal, but it was like, okay, I've been here. I know what to do. I know how to handle this. And so, yeah, I'm grateful for the military and experiencing all that and kind of just having to be an adult and figure out, you know what? Okay, people say, wow, you're so strong. And okay, maybe I am strong. It wasn't until recently that I realized, wow, okay, I'll give myself a little credit. And I think that's what a lot of us as parents and as caregivers don't do. We're quick to say what we wish we would have done differently, but we're not quick to commend ourselves for all the things we did right.
I love that. I recently had a revelation about the power of positive perspective, and I kind of talked about it at the beginning of this episode ever so briefly, but like it's a decision that we have as individuals to look at life through really the positive and grateful lens, as opposed to the, oh my gosh, this is not working the way I wish it would, or this is not a fun thing, or not this is negative. And I was really, really happy. This just happened really last week.
Yeah, on Ainsley's death anniversary, her 6-year death, I call it a death anniversary, the anniversary of her death.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I felt proud of myself looking back on the care I provided for her. The balance takes a lot of balance when you're consumed with a special needs child, but knowing that you have 2 other children and a husband that depend on you. Man, it's a tough balance. But yeah, it was the first time that I ever felt proud of myself and gave myself credit.
Pretty big revelation. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I mean it's the like tiny but mighty type of concept, a small statute of an individual in Lori, but like physical strength and everything that you had to do physically to take care of Ainsley, but the mental and emotional strength, if you would, outweighed that for sure. And then the balance probably comes from your days as a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. So that's always, good.
That was good, Joe. I like that.
Well
yeah.
done. Yeah. Tangent time. We had a buddy named Justin Keeling, and Justin might actually be listening to these podcasts because he chimed in on Instagram the other day, and he came over to the house. Joe and I served with Justin, and one thing led to another. And at some point, Justin and Lori were in a conversation, and Lori told Justin,
yeah, that I was a Dallas cheerleader, and he totally bought it. I was a dancer for about 15 years. I was a dancer for a really long time, but I was not that. But he believed it. And then we went out and he's telling everyone at the bar. Like,
I feel like he believed it for far longer than he should have.
bro,
he might still believe it right now.
Bingo. I think we just told him literally 17 years later, Justin, she's not a former Dallas kicker.
I had you going for a little bit too, Joe.
Yeah, for sure.
You were like, wait, were you?
It made sense. Like, why? Okay. Like, because, yeah, you, a dancer, so you had all the physical skills to do it, right? And you're attractive. So it's like, why? Oh, and I don't know. It wouldn't be that something that you just like, no, there's no way, right?
Wow. Thank you. I will take that as a compliment, Joe. And you snuck it in there, and I latched onto it. So thank you. But yeah, it was fun. And you know what? Maybe I was, and maybe we're still pulling the string. Who knows?
No, I couldn't handle that in my life.
So like, there's so many places we could go from here. Like, as a caregiver, you had to adjust and adapt, like you spoke of earlier, every single day as Ainsley's dystrophy progressed, even too. Like there were things that I think took for granted as like, of course, I'm going to monitor, how much oxygen she has in her blood, or feed her this way, or like all those things. Like, have you ever taken some time to just reflect back on you did a lot and are probably the reason she lived past her life expectancy?
Expectancy.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant to say? Yeah. Yeah. As a parent, Joe knows he's got 2 little ones. Man, he's having fun right now. These are the fun years, Joe. Soak it up.
Keep telling myself that.
Being a caregiver raising children, it's not easy. And then when you're presented with a child who has different needs, it's like caregiver on steroids, you know?
Mm.
And I had to learn a lot of things that I typically wouldn't have had to learn. I had to administer medications. I had to learn how to feed through a stomach tube, a G tube. I had to do nebulizer treatments. I had to nasal suction, which I wouldn't wish on anyone. But yeah, I just had to adapt to her needs, and I had to teach myself these skills. And a lot of people would joke and say, wow, you could be a nurse now. And I thought, no, I'm not a nurse. I'm a mom. I'm caring for my child. But I get it because I had to learn all these other skills. And I was fortunate enough to be a stay-at-home mom. A lot of parents don't have that. And so I just feel very fortunate that I was the one that could care for her and offer her that care.
Yeah, well, hats off to you and all the rest of the caregivers and frankly nurses of the world. I mean, this is what an ultimate like decision to sacrifice sometimes your own health and well-being for the benefits and advancement of another person. I'm not celebrating that sometimes nurses and caregivers don't take care of themselves. In fact, if I'm saying anything, I'm saying the opposite. Like I really, really would encourage. And so my question to you is like, how did you find ways to keep yourself evolving and staying smart and fit and level-headed?
Well, let's reinsert Joe and Leanne. We met them, and they just had this energy that I felt like I wanted to be around. They were youthful. My gosh, I don't know if all of you listeners have ever seen Joe's wife, but she's like straight off the movie screen. I was super intimidated. So gorgeous. And then I got to know her, and literally the most kind, most generous human I've ever met. One of them. Top notch, this girl. I remember thinking at one point, wow, this is Joe's girlfriend. Sorry, Joe, had to stab you.
Yeah. I married up.
I
She
mean,
married
this,
down for sure.
I won't say she married down, but boy, did you win the lottery. But just a beautiful human. And I, inside and out. I mean, anyway, I could go on and on about Leanne, but so yeah, we got to be closer friends, and then we had a babysitter that we had known since before Ainsley was even born. We trusted her. She lived in the area. She would watch the kids, and then we would have a night out.
It's actually funny. The babysitter, Samantha and Amber, they were the daughters of a fellow Marine that I had worked with, Drew Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
But when Ainsley was born, I'm pretty sure it was Ainsley, like Amber and Samantha and their mom
Mm-hmm.
were like the first people to come to the hospital at Camp Lejeune.
When Camden was.
It was Camden?
It's when Camden was born.
Okay.
I'll
probably edit all that out then.
So we would have a night out, which was rare. Joe, as you know, with little ones, it's hard. It's hard to have a night out, and it became a situation where anytime we had a night out, we went out with Joe and Leanne, and I just was like, that you guys were my respite. I felt youthful. I didn't have to. Of course, you're always worrying. There's always that worry, but I just felt like I could, let go. And something I'll say about Joe and Leanne, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they always made me feel good about myself. Very, compliments, and always telling me how great I looked and asking how I was doing. Leanne loves to like really, she wants to know, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Tell me what's going on. And it was like therapeutic, and just made me feel so damn good.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess the takeaway there is like, as a caregiver, surrounding yourself with people that can lift you up, people that can
absolutely
provide you that emotional and respite or break. Take a knee with you.
I mean, this is going to sound weird. Maybe I should say, I mean, I just felt sexy when I was with those guys.
Okay.
Right?
I
I mean,
love it.
first of all, Joe and Leanne, hello, sexy couple of the year. Come on. But I just felt youthful and sexy. Joe, what do you want to say about it? You want to say something about it?
Mojitos always help.
Yes.
At least my feelings. Sometimes for me, that's
Mhm.
a rare occasional Miller Lite, but
Oh, wait. It's Miller time. It's Miller time, ladies and gentlemen. It's that part of the podcast we invite you to get your favorite beverage and join us for a little bit of tasty snacks the rest of the way.
Wow,
but
this is
yeah,
fun.
I think too, though, like Rooster said, like surrounding having, the likes of Amber, right, who then married a Marine, and kids to be of their own, to provide you with that comfort to be able to go out for 2, 4, 6, too many hours at times, right? I think is that reset that you definitely deserved and then needed. So I think we see it from time to time within the organization, like caregivers getting burned out, but then like events that we do, like that's even right, their child or whoever is there that they're taking care of, but just being around others is that reset for them. I mean, that's what's great about the weekends in Louisiana or Marine Corps Marathon or Run with Your Heart Sunset 5K type of thing, where it's a lot of people make it a vacation, so it is that reset. So I think if you're listening to this and you're not allowing yourself to reset in any capacity, whatever your role in life is, you need to take a step back and reset from time to time.
Yes, I agree. And the Ainsley's Angels family definitely provides that race day, regardless of what it is, because I never knew another special needs mom or dad before I got involved with Team Hoyt. Ainsley started running with Team Hoyt, and then eventually, you guys started Ainsley's Angels, and it just to be able to talk to someone that got it. They weren't going to be freaked out by my kid. I could just let all guards down. There was going to be no judgment. I just felt safe and like I belonged. And so that's really important. And then, sexy with you guys. So it's like best of both worlds.
So I have a question I meant to ask back in the like diagnosis question, because it's something I genuinely don't know. I know at the time Ainsley was one of 7 or something, right, in the country with INAD, and those numbers have unfortunately grown, whichever math that is. To get like the diagnosis now, like if someone goes, is it quick? Is it easy now? Is it like a blood draw? Is it a scan? Is it oh yeah, damn it, it's INAD, right? Like, or is it a long process still?
So it is a simple blood sample. That's what it was for Ainsley, but you have to know what you're testing for. And so because this damages the nerve endings, we were fortunate that her neurologist had seen a case of INAD 10 years prior. So he came to us and asked if he could do a nerve biopsy, which meant he took a small piece of her nerve down by her ankle, very small surgery. And once he looked at that under a microscope, or whatever it is, doctors look at it, he saw what are they called?
Spheroids.
He saw spheroids on her nerve endings. And so because he had seen it before, immediately knew, but had to verify with a blood sample.
Yeah, so it's identifiable through DNA samples, and that is a specific gene, PLA2G6, if you want me to get really technical. And whenever you have the PLA2G6 gene that is mutated, that means you're a carrier. But if both of your PLA2G6 genes are mutated, then you have INAD, and
Yes.
and it will progressively take your life.
So in layman terms, I have one good gene and one mutated gene. Kim has one good gene and one mutated gene, and Ainsley got 2 mutated genes. So this is strictly genetic. We had to meet with a geneticist. They sent the blood work off, and it took a really long time because it's in Oregon. There's only one place in the United States that tests for this, in Oregon, and they were living off of grants. And so they had our sample, but couldn't test it yet because they were waiting to get money. It's crazy when you think about it. It's really crazy. But that's primarily why it took so long, is because the doctor wasn't quite sure what he was looking for yet. And once he had an idea, it was much quicker because it is just a blood sample.
See, who knew? Or
Who knew?
you guys knew. I didn't know, right? But now others know. So my second question was because you talked about something in the terms of caregiver, and then Ainsley starting running with Team Hoyt. So, like, I know for a runner, right? Race morning is, if I got shoes and socks, I'm probably going to be okay. I can figure the rest out. Like, what was a caregiver's morning like on race day?
Thank you for asking that, Joe. A caregiver's morning is crazy, and it actually starts the night before, maybe a week before, because you're checking the weather, you're checking your child's health, you're worrying, you know that all the stars need to be aligned. At least for Ainsley, some kids are less fragile as it applies to their health. Ainsley was prone to pneumonia at some point. So if the weather wasn't right, if Ainsley's breathing wasn't right, so yeah, really early wake ups for me. Because of course, most importantly, she had to look cute, so we have to get those braids going and all that good stuff. Pick out the cute outfit, but then also I had to do her breathing treatments, which was like a nebulizer treatment, and then a vibrating vest that she would wear to loosen up anything hiding out in the lungs. And then I had to nasal suction to get all of that stuff out to make sure she was clear and free and ready to be outdoors running. And then also just the bag you have to pack. You get that when you leave anywhere with your little ones. So many things you have to bring, even if you're just going to be gone for an hour. So I have to make sure she has proper hydration. Ainsley can't drink from a water bottle. So I have to have all the syringes and tubes and this and that I need to give her hydration and nutrition. And have to make sure, is it going to be too hot? Is it going to be too cold? There's just a lot of things to take into consideration. And it wasn't until Ainsley would just, finally take off, that horn blows and she takes off, that I would kind of exhale and say, okay, it's going to be okay. And then it was just the excitement of rushing to the finish line so I could be that Dallas cheerleader, cheering her for the finish line. But yeah, caregivers, it's a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot of prep.
Yeah, God, like the vest, the suction, the pulse socks, all those things that, again, like, go back to episode 1, I knew nothing about. Like, I remember, I don't know why, if it would have been morning or whatever, but sitting in one of the recliners at the house, Ainsley was on the floor, and she had the vest on, right, and you came downstairs, like, out of the shower, hair wet, and like something beeped, and I heard it, but I didn't know, and you just were like, whatever, and I was like, all right, she's good, and I was like, oh shit, what was I supposed to do? Like, where was the alarm button? I didn't know what was going on, but it was something enough that you came down, like, in the towel to fix, and I was like, all right. Then I started over the years learning whatever. I think it was as long as her pulse ox was above 96 or something, whatever it was, there was a number, I forget, you guys were happy with. So she had that on her finger. I was like, all right, I can handle that. I can then yell for help if that changes. But yeah, seeing everything. And then I remember when we went in 2014 to Lake Charles and in Winnie, right? And everything that came with us. That's when, for me, it was goodness gracious, it's a lot. So, I mean, caregivers around the world, our hat is off to you for sure.
Yeah, and I just appreciate that you and Leanne were so open to learning all of those things and also just accepting it. And it, that was probably the first time you heard her alarm go off, and then I appeared out of nowhere with my hair wrapped in a towel and fixed it. And then you were like, what just happened? I don't know. But then I feel like later, down the line, if that would have gone off, you would have been like, oh, okay, I know what this is. So
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's
learning
beautiful.
learning occurred for sure. I mean, especially even 2013 Marine Corps Marathon, right? When Leanne, Laura, myself took Ainsley and Michael and went on a little jog for a few hours, right? And everything that we had to, luckily, you had Laura and Leanne to do everything. I felt like I was just a little bit more of a workhorse, but like if something went wrong, like they were in charge.
Every
Michael and
job's
I were
important,
Mike
Joe.
Michael and I were gonna like direct traffic, but then there was the sign that race. Remember it said it's all Lori's fault. That it took the picture of. I was like, what are the odds of that?
We'll have to find that picture and upload it in our weekly Together We Shall podcast Instagram account. So see if you can find that one.
I think I have that one. It's in the video for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely screen capturable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many pieces, man. I mean, like ultimately what I'm hearing Lori say in recapping kind of the journey is how appreciative you were whenever somebody would acknowledge your child or acknowledge your child's needs, and then maybe even take it the next step and actually ask the question and try to learn about your world as a caregiver, but more specifically about the needs of this fellow human.
Absolutely. And that's what Leanne did at that Marine Corps ball that you guys spoke of, where Joe was cringing and Leanne walked right up, and I was sweating because she was so beautiful and I was intimidated. And then she was just like, hi, you, this is me. And I want to know about your daughter. And I thought, oh, wow, isn't she lovely? And that's what started it, really. That's what started it. And she's still that way. And I love that about her. And more people should be that way.
Yeah.
Yes, ask. Because I can remember, going to parks and all of these places with Ainsley. We were adamant about, we're still going to do all these things, go to the movies, go to dinners, go to amusement parks, go to parks. And people would stare because she was in a wheelchair. And I remember Camden, being so young and just staring back and like blocking her. He's been loyal from the beginning, and it's just all he's ever known. He never thought twice about Ainsley being different. It's just, this is my sister, why are you staring? And each sibling and each parent really forms their own special relationship with their children. And we all know the relationship Riley had with Ainsley, and she started running with her. She wrote a book about their journey. But a lot of people don't know about Camden's journey, and I don't know where we are on time, but I know this is something I wanted to mention. Camden, our youngest son, Ainsley was 11 months old when I surprisingly got pregnant with Camden. What a wonderful surprise that was. Maybe not in the moment, but now, best thing that ever happened to me. And so him and Ainsley growing up were at a lot of the same milestones, because he was progressing, she was regressing, and they were BFFs. They were best pals. They were playmates, and so they were interested in the same toys. And it's just all he knew. He had a playmate, and he was here with her, and he would handcuff her to her toy bar. Like Ainsley was always the bad guy, and he would roll his little cars on her and build Legos on her, and she would just laugh and laugh. And their relationship's so beautiful. And anytime you were out of town, you'd say, be the man of the house. And my God, he was like 40 pounds soaking wet, if that. But he would help me prepare Ainsley's food back at night. Ainsley ate at night while she slept through her G-tube. He would help me administer her medicine. And it was just like, that's what he did. This is what his sister needed. And man, it's so beautiful. And in fact, last week on Ainsley's death anniversary, I thanked Camden for being such an incredible little brother. Excuse me, a little brother. And I said, I don't know if I've ever told you that. How amazing you were. And man, I love their relationship. But he's never been a runner. He's never been interested in running. I don't think Camden's ever felt the need to have a connection with Ainsley through Ainsley's Angels because he knew what their connection was. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I remember him going to preschool with her at Centerville and like establishing relationships with not only, Ainsley, but Ainsley's friends in the classroom.
Yes. And a couple of boys had an eye for Ainsley and he'd be like, that's my sister.
You better believe it.
Yeah, I definitely think, and because he has that outgoing personality, if you would, right? Like, yeah, it took probably me a while too, and as he got older, right, to like have more conversations with him, like, and he's not just this kid in a ghillie suit hanging out in the bush during a fantasy football draft, like, what are you doing, man? I'm like trying to go to the bathroom or something, right? Like, get away from here. But like as he got older and had conversations, the love for Ainsley is definitely there. I mean, the rollerblading 5K, the 5K in Sandbridge. So I mean, he tested the waters and realized that wasn't for him. But I think it took courage to even do that, for sure.
Yeah, he's proud of Ainsley and who she is. He's never been embarrassed or ashamed, and he never felt a need to explain anything. That's, I think, what I love. He never felt the need to explain to his friends anything. It was just like, yeah, this is my sister, and this is my sister, and that's all it should be, honestly.
Yeah.
This is my sister.
That's it. I mean, just wrapping it up and putting a bow on top of it. Like, this is my sister. Just like all siblings have relationships with their siblings, and
everyone's different.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Yeah. I love that.
And the weird uncle.
Oh yeah, and the weird uncle. There's a picture Joe's showing us.
Yeah.
We'll have to again put it on our Ainsley's Angels. I'm sorry, our podcast.
But
Instagram.
I mean, Joe, you guys, because there were a lot of nights Kim and I couldn't go out, so you and Leanne were happy coming over to eat pizza and hang out, and it was immediately you putting Camden in a headlock, or you running around the yard with him upside down, or having Nerf gun fights with him. And I think that's why he was so drawn to you, because you were an adult. And no offense, Kim, but you were a fun adult. Like, oh wow, adults can be fun.
And it's weird, like, have seen that with Camden and Owen, right?
Yes.
Over the years, like from Outer Banks, he played with them, and then like whatever, I forget what we were in Virginia Beach for like a year or so ago, and they were like hula hooping or doing something weird, and then like coming down here and fishing, and I
have a picture.
Like the roles reversed for sure.
I have a picture of Camden on his skateboard. Camden's a big surfer, skateboarder, laid back kind of kid, and a picture of Owen on his scooter side by side. And it's one of my favorite pictures.
Yeah. I mean, Joe just said, role reversal. And I think as we were preparing for this podcast, one of the things that you and I talked about was like this whole idea of like strangers yesterday, friends today, family for life, and how our relationship with Leanne and Joe kind of is defined by that ethos, and that mantra that we've now adapted to the Ainsley's Angels of America family. But when you actually pull the string back and look at the details of that, like, wow, like we were blown away by some of the neat things we discovered.
Well, first of all, let's just say I discovered them. I know you love to take credit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, what I was trying to do is set us up for this next segment of the podcast. But
I'm giving you a hard time.
You did a good job.
So Camden is a junior in high school. He'll be leaving the nest too soon. I can't think about it because he is my world. But and then it'll just be you and I, and I would love, and Rocky, yes, yes, our Labradoodle Rocky. Let's not forget, who is also a daddy's boy. Anyway, then it'll just be you and I. And we're kind of not that close to Joe and Leanne anymore, and I miss those. We just recently talked about those Friday night pizza nights, and I hope that we can move much closer to them, and then we'll be empty nesters and they'll be just in the thick of it with their little ones. And then we can be for them what they were for us, respite.
You can come reassume the role of nanny.
Mhm.
I guess nights and weekends nanny, because they'll both be in school, but yeah, nanny can
Well,
hopefully enter their lives more
So
in
wait,
the future.
so I'm going to be their nanny on the nights and weekends while you three are going out?
No,
I
just
actually
like
picked,
the title, not necessarily the role, and godmother.
I actually would pick that role of nanny on nights and weekends over going out with all of you guys, probably, because those boys are, man, they have my heart.
They
Yeah.
they can hang a lot more now. I mean, like Owen, Owen doesn't sleep. Like that kid can stay up past 9 o'clock, and then 6 a.m. rolls around, he's ready to go. Like no naps, nothing. It's like, dude, take a break, bud.
That's how Camden was.
You know what might be one of the better parts, and I shouldn't even say the better, but you know what would be really neat if we did all that is that, remember when we first met and we played softball together? Well, we could play softball together again, and your team may actually start winning some games if we. No, is that no? Okay,
Probably not.
got it. Okay, so
But maybe it never hurts to have
Yeah.
a pitcher.
yeah. Oh man, what a ride. Well, Lori, I'll tell you, this was cool. I appreciated you just coming in here and just pouring it all out here for folks to think about.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm opposite of you. I'm pretty private. You know, I'm pretty private, and I have a shell up, a pretty thick shell. So it's good. It's good though to talk about important things. And there's a lot of people going through a lot of different things, and if one person listening can relate to anything I said or anything you said or anything Joe said, then I think it's a win.
Yeah, that's what we call it.
And hopefully we'll get those ratings up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you do have a Dallas cheerleader on your podcast. Come on, give me a break. Ratings are going to go up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that our ratings are like bad, but like I'm starting to think that they are based on the way that you're
Lori doesn't even know the ratings.
I don't. That's right, Joe. Joe knows me best. I don't know the ratings, nor do I am not going to look it up. But ratings, things can always improve and be better.
Yes, I love it.
And look, you guys are both really strong personalities, and I struggle sometimes just to hold my own. So I have to get jabs where I can with you too. Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
What you should do is come a little bit closer to the center so everybody can see you. I'm noticing
this is a podcast. People
right.
should be listening, not looking.
That's perfect. I love it. Okay, so Joe, that was a trip around the sun there. What is next? What is next for you?
Next for me is a week of work, right? Mixed in with Ainsley's Angels race prep. Again, Saturday, March 5th is the first race of the 2022 Ainsley Angels Race Series season. Jacksonville, North Carolina. Run with your heart. 3 distances: 5K, 10K, 15K. Swag bags are packed. Medals are here. Extra swag is here. We are ready, and by the time you're listening to this, there's less than 30 spots available. So do not delay. Head over to our website, events, register. Don't delay. Hope to see you Friday at Packet Pickup, and then Saturday race morning.
Fabulous. Love it. I'll be there. I'll see you there for all the things. Lori, what's next for you?
I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell.
Every day is a new adventure.
Every day is a new adventure. I typically do whatever you ask of me.
Wow.
That's where I like to be. It's okay.
Okay.
I choose that.
Well, I will just ask that you do your best to continue to give me your love, and I'll give you my love in return, and together we shall. I'll see what I did there. Together we shall. Podcast.
Yeah, you're real good at keeping it cheesy, babe.
I know, baby. Cheesy.
Real good at keeping it cheesy.
Mr. Cheese. Hey, Joe, weekly word. What is your weekly word for the week ahead?
For the week ahead is going to be reset. I had a chance last weekend to reset with the family as much as I personally can. It's very hard for me to reset, but I need to try to do that more often, even if it's little wins, singles win baseball games.
Yeah, I love that,
Reset.
man. Last week you said your word was breathe, and so the opportunity to kind of breathe and kind of exhale and kind of take it all in, and you did that, and now you're reset. I love that for you, man. I think it's huge. Lori, do you have like a word that comes to mind that can kind of be your ethos or your mantra for the next week ahead?
Yeah, proud. It's what I spoke of. Everyone should take time and be proud of themselves, proud of their accomplishments, whether it's something you did today, yesterday, 10 years ago. Recognize that and give yourself some pride. Love yourself a little bit. I don't do that.
Self-love, the power of self-love. Yeah, I literally was jumping up and down when you said last week, like for the first time in 6 years, I'm able to look back and say,
I did a good job.
Yeah, you did do a good job. Joe and I concur. I think that might bring us to the end of the episode 4 journey. Joe, do you have any saved rounds, alibis, or maybe some as you were's, something that we said incorrectly, or any of that stuff?
There's always going to be some, but no, I too enjoyed the time, and more importantly, I enjoy the relationship that the Rossiter and Orth families have, the whole full circle thing. So you'll see a lot of that circle in Together We Shout podcast Instagram post.
Find your people, and if they make you feel sexy, even better.
You know what? I got enough.
He's in charge.
We're done. This was good.
The structure of this building has reached its capacity. Yeah, we're done here.
Oh, Money, that's perfect.